That was terrible. I got up at 6:30 in the morning for that crap. And I regret ever getting up for that game. I regret it. This team is awful. And this game, more than any other game, shows you that this is a culture problem and that Doug Peterson needs to go. I mean, you had Cisco flat out say the team quit. You have him say we're a bunch of quitters out there. I mean, how can you listen to that and say that everything's under control? Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I got complete confidence in Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke. Shotgun said the best team in Jags history. I got complete confidence in these guys. And then you got Cisco saying they're a bunch of quitters. And you had some other pretty interesting comments afterwards. That just sums it up. It just sums it up. I would say I've had more time to digest my thoughts compared to previous games. This one took place at 9:30 in the morning my time, or ended at 9:30 in the morning my time, versus games that end at 1 o'clock my time, but it still hurts all the same. I mean, this was awful. Just terrible. There's no other way to say it. It was just terrible. This game shows you why Doug Peterson is the problem. He's one of the problems, at least. I mean, there are many problems on this team. But the coaching is terrible. The coaching's terrible. I can just list all the awful things that this coaching staff has done this game. Tank Bigsby, great game last week. Great game. 2 rushing touchdowns, was phenomenal. He had 17 reps. Dearness Johnson, there for special teams purposes. 34 reps. No serious coaching staff plays Dearness Johnson for 2 times the reps as your running back 1. Or at least he should be your running back 1. How do you possibly see what Tank Bigsby has done all season and be like, you know what? Let's give Dearness Johnson the ball more. That was what was missing from this team. Dearness Johnson. We're down by 3 scores at one point. Got to get something going on offense. Got to get a good drive going. First rep, Tim Jones is on the field. Tim Jones there for special teams purposes. He's on the field. I mean, what is this? It's like we're running a charity. Like, look at all the guys that Ryan Nielsen rotates in and out on defense. Look at all the guys who rotate in and out. I mean, everyone plays. Everyone plays on this defense. You play 2 reps and then you get rotated out for someone else. There are guys on this defense that are getting legitimate reps that 5 years from now we will never hear from again, and I will forget that they were ever a Jaguar. It's like we're running a charity with how many reps some of these guys are getting, rotating in and out for no reason whatsoever. The big one for me, was Ronald Darby gets called for defensive holding. It was the right call. Call for defensive holding. 1 time. All right? Free first down. It was on 3rd down. Give him a free first down. Then he gets called 3 plays later on 3rd down for defensive holding. Twice in 1 drive. Anyone that doesn't tolerate losing would bench Darby at that point. You just allowed back-to-back first downs. Guess who's out there on the very next snap? Guess who is out there? You wonder why you lose? Because you allow losing to happen. You allow a culture of losers to be on the field. You allow a culture of losing because you allow losers to do loser things. It's that simple. You think any coach would tolerate that crap besides Doug Peterson? Look, I'm not saying Bill Belichick's the god. They could hire Bill Belichick, they could not. It might be a good hire, it might not be. But I guarantee you get Bill Belichick in, he's not tolerating that. Darby's getting benched on that point. Darby's getting benched at that point. Most coaches, not just Belichick, most coaches with a pulse would bench him. But nope, not Doug Peterson. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. And, I mean, everything's got to go. Everything's got to go. I mean, look, Trent Baalke's drafted all right. Obviously, he get in 2021 on a lot of picks. This last draft in 23 looked pretty solid, relatively speaking. I mean, Ventrell Miller's been a stud. He was a bright spot again today. He was good. Anton Harrison's been solid. Brandon Strange, a solid tight end. And Tank Bigsby, obviously, I love the guy now. He's drafted all right as of late. But he whiffed on free agency. That's a fireable offense. Look at all the free agents. Who made a contribution today? I mean, I'll actually rephrase it. Who made a positive contribution today? Because a lot of free agents were crap, A lot of Ravens made negative contributions. Mitch Morse was fine other than that. Who made a contribution? You let Calvin Ridley walk, which, hindsight, great move. You give the money to Eric Armstead. He's done nothing this season. The most notable play for him is him crawling. Crawling down on that third down by Caleb Williams. Was crawling, trying to get the stop. Gabe Davis, I have better hands than him. His hands are bricks. He has the audacity to call Trevor Lawrence out for missing him on one throw. He drops 2 touchdown passes today. Josiah DeGuara, he gets called for holding. Backs the Jags up on a 3rd and short situation. Ronald Darby, he's been the worst corner in football. Which I'm not surprised by, because again, the man was old. We signed an old cornerback. We don't replace him with anyone. We signed an old corner. We knew Father Time was going to catch up to him. It wasn't a surprise to anyone, but not for the Jaguars. Not for the Jaguars. Like, they have not hit on anything. This offseason was a waste. This offseason was a complete waste. And outside of Morse, no free agents that have been any good. No free agents have been any good. And speaking of bad coaching, Brian Thomas, he did nothing today. Targeted twice in the first drive. It was the best drive. Granted, Trevor Lawrence killed 80% of the plays. It's no secret that when he wasn't killing plays, the team went nowhere. The team went nowhere when it wasn't killing plays. And obviously, people are going to look at the box score and say, oh, Trevor threw a pick. A lot of garbage time yards. They're gonna assume that he played like crap. And he was part of the reason they lost. He was the best player on the field today. He was the best player on the field. Anyone that puts that loss on Trevor Lawrence did not watch the game. Trevor Lawrence played his heart out today. The first 36 minutes, he did not miss a single throw. He had 3 complete passes. It was 2 drops and a throwaway. The pick, they were down by 3 scores. He was trying to press the ball down the field. Not a good throw, obviously, but they were not a good spot. They were not a good spot. You watch that game and say Trevor's the problem. You missed 4 drop touchdown passes. There were 4 times that the ball hit the receiver right in the hands. Right in the hands. And they dropped it. The receivers have been awful. But nothing's changing. Keep the same coaching staff. Keep everything the same. Everything the same on the offensive side. Let's run it back. Look where it's got us. Run it back. Run it back with a team that has won now just 2 of its last, 11 games? Run it back with that? I think this game summed up how much of a failure Shad Khan's been as an owner. I think it summed it up perfectly. You play in London for the last decade, try to build a fan base there, and you don't fire anyone, and you let Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke do their thing, and you play a game in front of a predominantly pro-Bears crowd where there were like 5 Jaguar fans in the stands, and you lay an egg on national TV. You lay an egg, and you do absolutely nothing. That sums it up. This game sums up Shad Khan's tenure in a nutshell. It sums it up. In one game, you want to show me the Shad Khan tenure? No accountability, keeping things the status quo until it's way past the point of return. You try things and they never work. Try things and they never, ever work. And obviously there are business reasons to blame in London, I get it. But playing from a predominantly pro-Bears crowd, there were no Jaguars fans there. There are no Jags fans there. You try to build a fan base there. No one wants to support that team. I get why there's no Jags fans there, because we suck. Who wants to support this team right now? I mean, this game said everything. And the fumbles, and the drop passes, and the penalties, it was just awful. This game was awful. And at 1-5, your season's probably done. Yeah, you might be the Patriots next week. If you're 3-5, you have a shot. But you're not beating the Packers. You had to win this game. You had to win this game. You had to be a 3-4. I would have taken 3-4 at the start of the season. I would have gladly taken 3-4 at the start of the season. You had to be 3-4 after 7. Might be the Pats next week. I don't know. And Drake May had his moments. He might beat the Pats next week. Does it really matter? It's not like the Sims doing anything. Not like the Sims going to do anything. I mean, it's another wasted season. It's another wasted season. And nothing's going to change as long as Doug is there. Even if you watch the halftime interview, usually the halftime interview is just Jared Coates speak. And they have like these canned responses. Doug looked like a deer in headlights. You watch the post-game interview back, Doug looked like a deer in headlights. He was just out of it. This is a man that's given up. This is a man that looks completely out of it. A man that looks like it's given up. There's no answers. That want to die on the hill of Press Taylor. Even though, I mean, he was part of the problem. Everyone was the problem today. Everyone was part of the problem today. I mean, I can count on one hand like the number of players that played well today. I mean, Trevor played well. Logan Cook played well. Bigsby played well on special teams, minus the fumble. He had some nice returns. Some nice returns when we gave him the ball. I mean, other than that, I mean, it was rough. It was a very, very bad game from a very bad team. And I know Eisen said and Warner said in the forget if it was Eisen or Warner, I think it was Warner. He said that, like, he spoke to Josh Allen and was like, I've been on teams where we were losing and people were pointing fingers and arguing. This is not that kind of team. And then Cisco says they're a bunch of quitters. So I'll tell you this much. I've heard that comment before. I've heard the comment before about this is not the kind of team. Seems like it's revisionist history because it feels like it's an every year thing. Feels like it's an every year thing. And look, let's just call it for what it is. If it wasn't for the Titans just completely getting hit by the injury bug in 22, this team would have not made the playoffs since 2017. Probably had a losing record every year since 2017. Or not losing record, but because obviously they would have a winning record last year, but would not have made the playoffs since 2017. Wasn't for the injury bug, Shaka makes the playoff one time. Makes the playoffs one time as owner. I mean, it's a dark time right now. It's a dark, dark time right now. Because you have the franchise quarterback. You have the pieces in place. Or you should on paper. You have the guys. You gave big money to some of these guys. Guys that we know have done it before. And it's not working. And you just got to fire Doug. You got to make a change. I don't know how you can't make a change after this game and those comments and not make a change. I don't know how you can do it. I don't know how you can do it. Because that was atrocious. That was just... There's no other way to say it. There's really no other way to say it. It was an atrocious game from an atrocious team with an atrocious coaching staff. And as long as you have Doug Pierce on the roster coaching, you're going to keep allowing it to happen. And it's time to make... It was time to make the switch last year, but you got to make it now. You got to make the switch now. Because this is another lost season. It has been way too many of them. Way too many. Having said that, though, this is not just a Jaguars rant. This is not just a Jaguars rant. Because it's also a bonus rant about Rich Eisen. Look, he's a legendary anchor. Nothing but respect for the guy as an anchor. He knows his stuff. Legendary anchor. Love him on NFL Network. I love listening to him. His interviews are great. At play-by-play, he sucks. Just call for what it is. At play-by-play, he sucks. That was a painful broadcast to listen to. The only thing worse than the Jaguars today was Rich Eisen. The only thing worse was Rich Eisen. Every single Jaguars tackle, he was looking for a face mask. I mean, the bias was just insane. The bias was just insane. Every single time the Jaguars made a tackle, he thought it was going to be a face mask penalty. It's like he didn't know the rules. The Cole Kmet, there's no I Kmet line. How many times did he say that? Take a shot every time he said that. Cole Kmet, do you know he long snapped today? Do you know he's the long snapper? Because I didn't know that. I'm glad Rich Eisen said it 20 times, and every snap by Kmet was perfect, even though half of them went over the guy's head and to like catch the ball above his head and get it down. You know that it was a long snapper tonight. The amount of things he got wrong. He said the Steelers never played in London before. That was the best London game ever, Steelers-Vikings. He said that they never played in London before. Like, how do you make a comment like that coming off the break and not do your research and not know that? Like, it's one thing to say it on the spot. Again, look, it's one thing to say it on the spot. We all make mistakes every now and then. We all get stuff wrong. I've done it before. I'm looking at the chat at times when I do my live streams. It happens. It happens. We're all human. It happens to get slip-ups every now and then. But coming off a commercial break, you knew they were going to show a shot at Big Ben. Because they show a shot at Big Ben every single year. You knew you were going to say something like that. You didn't stop to think for 1 second that maybe the Steelers played a game in London? And maybe it was actually a pretty good game? Maybe like the best London game? There haven't been a lot of good London games. That one was pretty good. And the amount of things he got wrong and the excitement level at times for certain things that did not warrant that level was like Joe Tessitore. At least just Joe Tessitore felt authentic. This, I don't know what it felt like. I don't know what it felt like. It was a painful painful game. Thank God Chris Rose is on the broadcast. I've never listened to Chris Rose do a game. He's going to do Jags Patriots next week. God help him, because that game is football terrorism. But can't be any worse. As long as it's not Mike Goldberg levels bad, it can't be any worse. Rich Eisen again, nothing but respect for him as an anchor, as a radio host, NFL draft host. And I have nothing but respect for the guy. But play-by-play is not his forte. And it hasn't been for a while. And the sooner he recognizes that, the better it is for everyone. He wasn't good on Jets Vikings last week. I don't know why he was on that game, because he's a Jet fan. The bias was very obvious. I don't blame him for that, because he's been a Jet fan his whole life. You can't just turn the bias off for one game. It's tough. He was terrible today. He has no business being near a microphone in a stadium setting. So that was bad. The Jags were bad. Everything was bad. I don't drink, but I really need one, because that was awful. And just fast forward to the end of the season at this point. Just skip ahead to the end of the season, because it's not good. And it's not going to get better anytime soon. As long as Doug's there, as long as Trent's there, as long as this is in place as it is, as long as Khan doesn't do a full rebuild, which he doesn't really do, as long as he doesn't clean house completely, as long as Khan's there, I only go as far as say as long as Khan's there, things are not getting better. Things are just not getting better. And I don't know if they ever will. Days like this, where you just don't know why you picked this team. You just don't know. Because there is no light at the end of the tunnel. There is no light at the end of the tunnel anywhere, anytime soon. And as long as everything's in place, I don't think they're ever will be. So, game happened earlier today, really early in the morning. Doesn't make it sting any less. That was awful. And 11 more games of this crap is 11 too many.